Chad Veach, the pastor of Zoe Church, the fastest growing young adult church in Los Angeles, and the author of a new book, Help I Work with People, Getting Good at Influence, Leadership, and People Skills, as he shares the 3 phases of leadership as we lead through these challenging times.
The hardest person to lead is me. I would love to say the hardest person to lead is that person in the office, or that person giving me the problems, or my sibling, or my aunt, or fill in the blank. But it's always me, my attitude, my perspective, my healing, getting comfortable in my skin. And so I think, we start there because all of life and leadership starts with, how do I lead myself? And if I can master that, the rest of life and the rest of leadership gets really, really easy. So I got to figure out, how do I hold my feet to the fire? How do I hold myself accountable? How do I get really, really healthy as a person? Because healthy relationships are contrived of healthy individuals. Well, I think it starts with us, wanting to serve people. The whole point of the book is that we want more for people than from people. And so when that becomes my desire, listen, Jesus is the greatest leader that ever walked the face of the earth. And the reason why he's the greatest, how could you not follow somebody that looks at his crew? He says, we got to keep going to the next city because I got to go die for you. I only exist for your betterment and your improvement. So if we want to really make an impact on culture in our community, in our church setting, fill in the blank where we have influence, it's got to be from a servant's heart that we want to add value, we want to serve others. And so the book is not like, oh, help, I work with people. It's more like, help, I work with people and I want to get really good at doing this. Well, I think it starts with our own conviction. It's the whole thing. They're not excited about it unless I'm excited about it. So if I believe in this change we're making in the company and I'm really passionate about it, that's going to bleed out of me. People are going to feel that energy. They're going to feel that excitement. And you just can't fake that kind of stuff. You got to live as a passionate person. You got to live inspired to be an inspiration. And I think the more that you lean into your leadership and into what you're about, it just flows out of you. So leadership's that thing that can't be forced, can't be contrived, cannot be manipulated. It's got to be natural. And so if I want to be an inspiration, I got to keep filling up my cup to overflow. Well, they say that the average person will influence or impact 70,000 people in their lifetime. So if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you don't lead something big, you're still influencing 70,000 people in your lifetime. So I think we got to just realize, okay, I didn't ask for all this influence. I don't deserve all this influence, but I have it. So the question is not if you have influence. The question is, what are you going to do with your influence? And we've got to really identify, like you said, is it for the good of others? Are we really trying to make a positive impact? Because if we can resolve our motives, one of my favorite books right now is also The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. Here I am plugging somebody else's book. But he really talks about discovering your why. When you know why you exist, then you'll do good with your influence. We start, in my opinion, with the thought that we belong to God. Long before you knew God, God knew you. He literally knit us together in our mother's womb. The Bible says we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So you belong to God. Long before you believe in him, you already belong to him. It's kind of like, Toy Story, when, Andy would mark all of his toys and put his name on Buzz or put his name on Woody. All of us have been marked and imprinted by God's love. And so I think, we're not trying to live to prove that I belong here. I'm living from, I already know I belong. And so that first step allows me to belong well in other spheres of society and culture. Well, I think the first thing that you could start doing is looking at the person in the mirror. You know, it's like I'd love to play the blame game, but the blame game doesn't get me anywhere in life. So I've got to look in the mirror. You can't do life well if you're doing people wrong. So I got to look in the mirror and say, what's wrong with me? What childhood trauma do I need to get healed from? What, abuse or betrayal do I need to get over and get past? What fallout of relationship? Because I really want to do people well, but I cannot do that until I get healthy and until I get whole.